Well, hey everybody, it's me, Rosie O'Donnell.
Boo!
And I'm here in Ireland. Moved here on January 15th.
Good.
I'm in the process of getting my Irish citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents. Although I was never someone who thought I would move to another country, that's what I decided would be the best for myself and my 12-year-old. I'm happy.
I doubt it.
And when it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
Okay, but I don't give a fuck.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live for Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight is our friend Joshy Boy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome back. What's up, y'all?
Among the items for discussion tonight, Congress once again passes a continuing resolution to fund the government at status quo levels. Another 6 months, and Trump uses the occasion to pick a fight with Thomas Massie. So, talk about that. Ukraine has agreed to a 30-day ceasefire as Russia is now considering their end of the deal. Russia, at least high-level Russians, are expressing some doubts and some reservations, but maybe it's at least movement in the right direction. Mahmoud Khalil, a Syria-born Palestinian student who was part of those college campus protests last year, he is in the process of getting deported. And there are a lot of big claims out there. I think there are some exaggerations, but I do think there are some valid questions about the cause of his deportation. We'll get into that. And before we're done, we'll take a few calls as well and catch up with your super chat to close the show. Speaking of, hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that for as little as $1 a month over on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay. Listener support is what keeps my operation running, and of course, it is hugely appreciated. It not only helps me sustain, but it allows me to pay the people who help bring the show to you as well. There are perks available for your support. Also, mattchristiansenmedia.com/support, linked in the description. And we got to say hi to our featured listener-owned business for the evening as well, and that's our friends at Hope Innovations. Have you ever wanted to grow your own garden, but you didn't feel like you had the space? With food prices rising and chemicals being added to our food every day, you might consider adding a hydroponic garden system to your home. Grow clean and fresh produce all year round with the Eden Tower from Hope Innovations. When it comes to growing your own food, invest in the best system out there and discover the joy of regularly having freshly harvested salads, homegrown herbs, tomatoes, peppers, and more with your very own hydroponic system. Engineered to be elegant and practical, the Eden Tower stands above the competition with its patented cup system that allows you to drop a seed and go. You don't need a green thumb to easily grow delicious and nutritious food at home on your own. Get $200 off an Eden Tower hydroponics kit from Hope Innovations through a listener-exclusive link available only on my website. Head on over to mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals, find the Hope Innovations section, click the link, $200 off an Eden Tower hydroponics kit. You can get started growing your own food easily and simply today. Didn't you have a hydroponics kit or an Eden Tower joke in the chat the other day, or am I misremembering?
I did have one a long time ago.
Oh.
See if I can remember off the top of my head. It was something about me having one of those things reminds me on the plantation or something like that.
That's right. Was it a cotton joke? Did you?
I don't think it was a cotton joke, but I could have made a cotton joke.
Something like that. All right. Find everything you need from our friends at Hope Innovations, plus other great offers from the rest of our friendly listener-owned businesses like Hero Soap Company, Western Razor Company, Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing, and more. MattChristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. And don't forget, our friends at Hero Soap Company also have another fresh new scent for your sampling. Spearmint is a crisp, refreshing, minty soap with the subtle cooling effect that'll leave you feeling clean all day. Don't just settle for fresh breath with some gum. Get full body fresh with spearmint from Hero Soap Company. All natural and high quality, as always. 10% off everything from our friends at Hero Soap Company when you use promo code MCListener. HeroSoapCompany.com, promo code MCListener. All right, a couple other quick pieces of housekeeping. As a reminder, new merch is up for sale in the store. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more. Check those out if you like. And remember, the sales not only help my business, but they help the designers who made the graphics, all of whom are listeners of this show. So check that out, mattchristiansenmedia.com/shop. And email questions are back as part of the newly reformatted call-in show, or what was the call-in show and is now a condensed Wednesday show. Email questions are back. If you'd like to send an email question for consideration on this Wednesday stream, head on over to the contacts page of my website. Use the MC Live questions box. We actually don't have any email questions for tonight, but we will bring them back as we receive them. All right, Mr. Joshy Boy, do you remember what was going on right about 5 years ago at this time?
The COVID lockdowns?
Yes. The biggest scam of our lifetimes kicked off.
I still can't believe people fell for that, man.
If I recall correctly, San Francisco was the first to kick it off in I think it was March 16th or March 15th. I remember the Ides of March, as was warned about in with Caesar. Beware the Ides of March. So 2020, March 15th, 16th, and there, San Francisco kicks it off. And for months and years after, we were staying inside to slow the spread. And we're saving lives by locking down and all that. And Sweden was this country in Europe that, relatively speaking,
fuck y'all.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Now, I know Sweden did some stuff, but do you remember how Sweden was ripped up and down?
Yeah,
because they didn't shut down all their schools and they didn't necessarily wear masks all the time. Well, Outkick writer Ian Miller posted yesterday. It's a good time to reflect on the data, 2020 to 2023 excess mortality data to be specific. So there's a chart. There's some data in. Sorry, did you have a thought?
No. Keep going.
There's some data. It's a massive. That's a lot of TLDR. Okay, I'm not expecting you to read all this, but I want to explain what's going on here. The information in this table here shows the percentage of excess deaths. Actually, this is the wrong one. It's this one. Shows the percentage of excess deaths in those years, 2020 to 2023, as in how many more people died in those years in each European country than you would expect in normal years going back decades. All of that expressed as a percentage. So if the science was so correct about locking down and slowing the spread and all that, Sweden should be off the charts, like 50% excess deaths. Everybody's dying. Way more deaths than normal.
There shouldn't be a Sweden anymore by then.
Now, there might not be a Sweden anymore for a bunch of reasons, but COVID probably is not one of them.
Not one of them.
So let me, without revealing the answer to you, there are 28 European countries included in this analysis. And again, it's a ranking of countries based on excess deaths. So which countries had deaths the most above expected?
Gotcha.
Where do you think Sweden ranked in those 28 countries? Would it be number 1 as in the most deaths, or number 10 as in kind of in the middle? Where do you think?
Well, as an uneducated black man who's part of the left, I'm going to say number 1 because I believe the media.
Okay. Well, the actual answer where Sweden ranks in the 28 European countries in excess deaths, excess mortality from 2020 to 2023 is 28.
I figured. I knew it.
It was only like 2.2% above expected. Dead, in other words, dead last in Europe. In other words, the fewest excess deaths among the European countries included in this analysis in the Lancet Medical Journal. Sweden didn't give a shit, at least relative to the rest of these countries. And did they pay the price for it? No, they benefited from it.
I know. What is that? Herd immunity is what it was called.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that was the counter theory at the time. Like, no, getting the virus is good because it creates immunity in the population.
No, just imagine if the entirety of Europe did that.
Well, Yeah, it's hard to argue that doing nothing would have been worse than everything that we did. Yeah. I bring this up just to, it's 5 years now, it's half a decade. Just never forget how badly we were scammed. They told us all, sorry, we have to ruin your life to save your life.
Everything about the whole COVID thing just baffled my mind. First of all, they got the entire planet to do this, right?
Mostly.
Or almost the entire planet.
Were people locking down in like, I don't know, Somalia or something? Maybe.
Yeah, no, well, I don't know. Maybe we all know what was going on in Haiti at the time. But imagine places. You remember the shit show that was in Australia, right? When it was actually
of course, when they were putting like the indigenous people in the camps,
in actual camps.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, oh no, this is fine. We're doing this for your safety.
It's I mean, got to slow the spread.
So mom and pop shops, their business wasn't essential, but Walmart and other places you can still go to that. I couldn't really go to church at the time because mine shut down, right, for a little while.
Wow,
but I can go to like Walmart with like 100 other people. It was absurd to me. It says, well, we got to make sure we social distance, and everybody's doing the elbow thing. And, it's like, we're just trying to keep people safe.
The compliance, man, like you're supposed to remember when, I don't know if your grocery stores had it where you can only walk one direction down the aisle at the grocery store.
Oh, everybody ignored that shit. See, I'm from the ghetto Walmart, right?
Okay, well, everybody here followed it mostly. And then they have like lily pads that you're supposed to stand in line, the floor is lava, hop between them because they're 6 feet. I mean, it was total insanity, but I don't need to revisit all of that. It just kind of disappears into history though. 5 years ago, the biggest scam of our lifetimes, and it's like, yeah, well, what could you do? It was a mystery. You could not do that again. The only thing we can recover from that is the wisdom never to do that bullshit again. When they tell you they have to ruin your life to save your life, do not believe them. Remember
exactly
the Ides of March 2020. Anyway,
I think at least half the nation is still going to do that shit.
They probably.
I remember seeing like a video of an interview of saying, would you, if COVID was out again, would you guys mind like lock down for an entire year in order to do the spread? And some people say, yeah,
they would.
They would.
Speaking of scams, maybe I'm overstating, but hey, Pam Bondi and the Epstein files. It's if it's not a full-on scam, it's teetering on scam. Now, if you followed the timeline, first it was the client list was on Pam Bondi's desk, and the documents were getting released. Yeah. And then the documents came out in fancy binders released to social media personalities and had no new info. And then it was that nefarious FBI office in New York. They hid all the documents. But once we uncovered that, a truckload of documents were delivered to Pam Bondi. And now the other people in the FBI are going through the truckload of documents, and just you wait, because they're going to come out and they're going to be good. Well, now this week we have White House lawyer Alina Habba. Habba? I forget how you say her name.
Habba. You got it right.
She says not only is the truckload legit, Pam Bondi was not overstating, but people are going to be prosecuted. So just you wait patiently because the charges are coming.
And I personally have checked in. They are going through it. You have to be patient because when you are wanting to prosecute and actually do something with the information that you have to make sure that you save the integrity of the investigation so that we can bring these people to justice, so that we can hold grand juries. It's such a convoluted thing, but I will tell you, transparency is 100% coming. But I would just say to the American people, yes, they got the documents. Cash instructed those individuals that you must cooperate. One resigned, who was leading the charge in not cooperating. And now we have them and we have to go through them. There is a very large amount of documents, I've been told. They are going through them.
Surely you believe it. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. Yes, why can't they just shut up?
just shut the fuck up and find what you're looking for and then release it. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta do.
Yes, you should be in charge of the DOJ. You should be Attorney General, I think.
Yeah. First order of business. Shut up. Shut the hell up.
Now notice
the facts first.
Notice the hedging at the end. There is a very large amount of documents I've been told. Well, I have also been told that there's a very large amount of documents. I have yet to see any of it. Have you, Alina Habba, seen them? And Alina Habba is she's Trump's lawyer, as in White House counsel. She is not in the Justice Department. She's not going to be handling these prosecutions that she's talking about. Maybe she has information I don't. I mean, it's certainly possible. She's connected to people I'm not. So she may have more information. And I get it, the point they're making. Oh, redactions to protect victims, that's necessary. And if you plan to prosecute, it takes time. You got to build the case. Yeah, I get all that. To your point, why don't you just say that? Why do you keep talking in this elevated language, talking about truckloads and people getting prosecuted?
I better see full semis coming into that office.
They only said one truckload, okay? Not a convoy. But next week they'll be promising the convoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is, maybe I'm being ridiculous by thinking there's a strategy to this. But if this is intentional, what the hell is gained by making big claims and then not delivering? With the understanding that they might later, but so far they haven't.
No, it's just women talking too much. That's it.
You think
There's
that's
no game plan behind this.
All right.
It is basic woman prattle. It's like, oh, we got truckloads of information. They do the exact same thing the screaming harpies on the left side do. They make this big deal out of it, right? And then when it gets revealed, it turns out it's nothing.
Well, so Trump does need a new policy.
Shut up, silly woman.
That would solve
He
it.
ain't taking his own advice. I mean, if you wanted all the silly women to shut up, you wouldn't have hired them.
Well, all right. I have another story in which you're going to have to be an ambassador. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
oh dear Lord,
there's one that comes up every week. And okay, so
every week so far, there needs to be a sounder for now.
I know it needs to be a weekly. And now Joshy boy has to defend the okay. In Virginia last week, I'm sure you saw this. It was the state indoor high school track and field championships during
I don't pay attention to sports that much.
You didn't see any of this? Okay, so this is fresh to you. This is even better.
Yeah, this is fresh to me.
During the 4x200 relay race, Brookville High School junior Kaylin Tucker, this is the woman, the young lady on screen here. She was the second runner for her team. Tucker was trying to make a move during the race. I don't understand the rules of relay races, but she's trying to make some kind of move. And she has this rival racer, Alalia Everett, I think is her name. And she's from IC Norcom High School. And instead of blocking her from making that move, she just takes the baton and whacks her in the back of the skull so severely that this young lady suffered a concussion and possibly fractured her skull. But here was the moment if you didn't see it. Just whack right in the back of the head, and she runs off and collapses. Now,
what the fuck was that?
Well, an accident is the explanation. Do you buy the accident explanation?
Hell no.
So the girl who did the hitting, again, her name is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Alalia?
Alalia.
Okay.
Everett.
She's speaking to local media to give her side of the story. And her line is that this was accidental. Like she tripped or slipped and her hands did funny things.
That bitch didn't trip.
That's what she says. And she says people are actually not being considerate to her and her emotional needs by attacking her for doing that. And I can't believe this is legit and not edited. But yes, Joshy boy, I think you know the sound that you will hear in the background if you listen closely.
It was the state meet. It happened on Tuesday. I can admit from the video it does look purposeful, but I know my intentions and I would never hit somebody on purpose because of jealousy. At the end of the day, I'm a child too. I'm sorry. I didn't intentionally hit her. I didn't know it was gonna cause a concussion. I didn't know all of this was gonna happen. Everybody has feelings. So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? It's many, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people attacking me.
Come on, man.
What's so hard about changing the fucking battery?
I assume you have experience in the craft.
No, I don't. That's the
You've
thing.
never done
My
it?
parents would never allow. No, I would never allow this shit. That would drive me fucking crazy. My parents.
No. I mean,
you.
You personally have changed a battery in a smoke detector, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not hard.
All right. You need to start an education and outreach program.
You can't educate these people.
So, USAID could do it. They just need to fund submit a proposal, Make a grant request. All right. So when I saw the clip, I thought, no goddamn way. Okay. Because I saw it on Twitter. And you know how people edit things. I'm like, someone put the chirp in there to be funny. Dude, this is the upload on local WAVY TV's YouTube channel. Let me play it a little bit. I got to unmute it.
State, was this what was qualifying all the state? Give me those details.
It was the state meet. It happened on Tuesday.
That is not edited in. That's in the story. What is this? And the guy who sent me this clip, he said, at this point, we have to assume they're doing it intentionally to troll us. And I agree.
It has to be intentional.
There's no
it
way.
Has to be
How do you? Dude, it's like, have you ever had like a twitch under your eye? Or somewhere else, and it's like you're going crazy because it won't go away. That's what that's like. How can you sit there hearing that sound every minute on the minute and not lose your goddamn mind?
I wanted to comment on the last guy, the guy who was part of the IRS who got laid off, right? I couldn't focus on what he was saying because of the church. He could have been speaking absolute nonsense, but I wouldn't hear any of it because of that chirp. It drives me insane.
Now, she is saying, not only am I emotionally damaged, but my prospect for college athletics will now be diminished. That's getting off easy. I don't know how this, I'm a child. She's a high school senior. She's either 17 or 18 years old. She should be charged with assault. That should be criminal, what she did. She physically attacked someone with a weapon, and she's not being charged.
And those batons are metal.
I've never handled one, but if it actually gave her a concussion, it's got to be pretty substantial.
Yeah, those batons are made of metal. They're not plastic, right?
Yeah.
So whatever,
clearly.
That wasn't even a strategy. That was just dead on the soul. Those two must have hated each other beforehand. Something must have happened. Right?
I would never hit someone out of. It's funny how her denial is a confession. She's like, if you listen to the full interview, I'm not very good at track and field, but I definitely would not hit someone out of jealousy for their skill in track and field. That's not me. I would never do that. They clearly had some kind of rivalry, like you're talking about, and she clearly had some sort of envy for it.
And the thing is, so when I was in high school, I had my high school, which is Tyner, then you had the high school named Brainerd, and then another named Howard, right? You cannot put us three together without somebody fighting.
You ever do the baton smack? Never heard of that?
Baton smack, fist fights, stabbing, shootings, whatever you want to call it.
You guys went hardcore right away. No, you didn't waste your time. Are you exaggerating or are you serious? There were actual shootings.
I'm serious.
Holy cow. Wow.
There have been fights, shootings, stabbings.
Damn.
At track meets and everything. That's why we can't have shit.
Holy
if you ever
shit.
listen to Chris Rock's stand up on Black people versus N-words, he makes tons of points. The N-words gotta go is basically what that is.
Well, to get rid of them, you're gonna have to become one because you're gonna have to shoot them. Metaphorically, Raja Mohan.
Metaphorically, all right. We're doing this in Minecraft, okay?
Yes,
it's perfectly fine.
All
Everything
right.
is there. It's perfectly legal.
Let's salvage this before it's completely off the rails. Let's talk about something much safer: the congressional budgeting. Don't worry. I know everybody was terrified of a government shutdown. You can put those fears to rest, or can you? Because Chuck Schumer is out there tweeting within the last couple hours. He's entered the chat. And he's saying maybe Democrats will oppose this continuing resolution. But yesterday, the House passed yet another one of these continuing resolutions that just kick the metaphorical can down the road. We're going to keep spending government money at roughly the same rate that we were before through September. And the few changes in this continuing resolution include an additional $500 million for ICE for border security and deportations. There's also language that will enable Trump to use impoundment, as in not spending money where Congress has appropriated it. So just because we're appropriating it doesn't mean that Doge and company can't scoop it back is the idea. But hey, how about you don't spend the money in the first place? Maybe we'll get to that point someday, but that's not today. So now it's on to
we're both dead.
Wait, what?
This is probably when we're both dead when I'll finally get to it.
Well, yeah, the good news is when we're both dead, we're finally going to collect our Social Security checks too, though. So we have that to look forward to. Now, so it's on to the Senate. They have until the end of day Friday before the deadline hits and the government shutdown could start. It is expected that the Senate is going to pass this bill on Friday, especially since Speaker Johnson already let House members go home on recess. As Thomas Massie is going to explain in a second, that implies that a deal for this CR is already done. Or maybe not. Like I said, just a little bit ago, Chuck Schumer was speaking on the Senate floor. He's now tweeting and he's saying Republicans don't have the votes in the Senate for this because it's going to take 60. And Democrats are united in opposition because they want a continuing resolution just for a month to carry on negotiations. And so he's saying, at least implicitly, that Senate Democrats are going to oppose this. Now, I think this is just Schumer theatrics. I think it's just posturing before they actually do pass this thing on Friday, and you have government spending at status quo through September. But this particular way of doing business, it will require the 60 votes in the Senate. Chuck Schumer's read about that. Rand Paul is the only Senate Republican who's saying he'll vote no. So that means Republicans are going to have to gather at least 8 Democrats to support. And in addition to Chuck Schumer, there are some others speaking out in opposition to this continuing resolution. But I think it's just showmanship, so they can say they stood up to Trump, but they had to agree to make sure that there's no government shutdown and all that. Now, in the House, the lone Republican vote of opposition was Thomas Massie from Kentucky. And Thomas Massie's idea is, hey, either you split out all of this is one big budget bill, one big spending continuing resolution. Why don't we split that out into individual components? Or if we're going to do like one mass continuing resolution, how about we do that with X% cut off of it? Just an across-the-board cut.
That sounds reasonable.
Primarily, if we believe that Doge is uncovering all kinds of government waste, why are we going to just keep cutting checks to the same organizations that Doge is finding waste or fraud or abuse in? Why would we continue spending at the same levels? So Massie explained himself by video yesterday.
They're trying to pitch it as a conservative CR versus liberal Democrats. And even the Democrats are going along in the House. They plan to pass it with all Republicans here in the House. But after we leave town, the Democrats are going to vote for it in the Senate. That's right. They're going to need about 8 Democrat senators to vote for this thing over in the Senate. That means that this deal has already been cut, that Mike Johnson has cut a deal with the Senate Democrats. The reality is that the Democrats and Republicans love to have the threat of a shutdown. They can get conservatives to vote for liberal things if there's a shutdown looming, especially when you have a president who says, oh, we don't want to shut down under my watch. By the way, this is not Trump's agenda. This is Biden's spending agenda. The CR extends Biden's spending levels until the end of the year. And now the excuse now for doing a CR is, oh, we don't have time. We don't have time to do the right thing. We don't want the fight now. We'll do a fight in September of 2025. Well, guess what, folks? The closer you get to the next election, the less spine these people have. I don't see the fight coming. I hope there is a fight to cut spending. I just don't see it. So what should you do? Do an across-the-board cut. You should honor the 1% cut that's in law that Mike Johnson is going around. And we should also lock in the Doge cuts. Why are we going to fund all of the waste, fraud, and abuse that Doge found? Why are we going to copy, paste that budget? Today, Trump is attacking Canada and me. And the difference between the two is Canada will eventually cave.
Got him! Got him!
All right.
I mean, I don't really have anything to say against that. It sounds reasonable to me.
Well, let me give you the best framing or characterization of both sides of the argument that I can. And
Gotcha.
I'm trying to do this accurately, even though I consider myself on one side of this. But for Trump's people and the rest, all the congressional Republicans who are going along with this and Trump, the position is there's not enough time to make meaningful change right now because they are up against a deadline on Friday. And you have to keep the government open, one, to continue the work. Nice cat cameo, by the way. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you have to keep the government open to continue the work of identifying the waste that's going on right now. Number one. And number two, to avoid making Trump a political scapegoat for Democrats this early in the term. So the idea here is, you're going to delay once again. You're going to kick that can once again, but it's in pursuit of making major reforms in the next budget fight come September. And you also have the advantage of the reconciliation process to use in that plan. So unlike every other bill that goes through the Senate, budget and spending bills can be passed with just a simple majority through the reconciliation process, 51 votes or 50 if they get J.D. Vance on a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But under current rules, reconciliation is only available for use 3 times per year. So you want to be very careful about how you use it. The idea here is, yeah, we know it's bullshit, but trust us, bro. Come September, the real cuts are going to start. That's the idea. Okay?
Yeah.
Now for Massie, if you're on the Massie side, Massie's point is, well, why is it never the right time? It's not the right time for the cuts today, but just you wait until September. Why is it always cuts in the future, but the future never comes and the cuts never really happen? This Congress, fair to say, was elected on the premise of stopping rampant government spending. And yet here they are continuing government spending at those status quo levels and even calling it a win. They're saying it's a spending freeze at Biden levels is a win. That's we voted against Biden to stop Biden spending levels. Now freezing it at Biden spending levels is a win. And so Massie's going to have to deal with the practical reality that his stance is the hardline stance. It's much more likely to result in a government shutdown, but maybe so what?
Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it.
I don't know if you fear a government shutdown. I don't know if I do.
Not really.
I'm convinced the delete key on the federal government is the path to prosperity. That's the best way forward for the country. So for Massie, the criticism of everybody else is this is fundamentally a question of, do you trust the people who promise budget cuts but then never deliver them to finally do budget cuts this fall? If you don't, well, don't enable them. So those are the 2 arguments that we're dealing with. Do you have a preference?
I'm kind of siding with Massie. I don't understand, like, for example, there's the question of why not just do it now, right? Like, for example, with Massie, it's like we keep saying that, oh, we can't do it now, but we'll do it later down the road. Is it, well, if you couldn't do it now, what makes you think you'll do it later down the road? I understand that some stuff takes time, but I'm not hugely knowledgeable in government spending and everything. I don't really pay attention to everything that goes on in the federal government, but if we're going to do like a federal shutdown, I mean, why not, right?
I want to believe these people that it's all a grand strategy to really do the real cuts come September, but I feel like I'll be sitting around waiting for the Epstein files in September as well. So I really, I mean, if I have to pick one, I'm going with the Massie position because that's what we all voted for. But there doesn't actually need to be a fight here. The problem is Trump picked one. So Trump comes out yesterday and he makes what I think is a really politically dumb move. He posts on Truth Social. He calls Massie a grandstander who reminds him of Liz Cheney somehow. Okay. And Trump is now going to support a primary challenger for Massie. And Trump says that the people of Kentucky won't stand for Massie's obstructionism anymore.
I doubt it.
You had Trump allies calling Massie a rhino for standing firm against government spending, which is completely insane. The rhino thing to do is continue to spend money at status quo levels while campaigning, saying you're going to make cuts. Trump rips Massie for being an automatic no vote on everything. In the federal government, that's awesome, actually. If only everyone voted no on everything at the federal level all the time, things would be great. Yeah. We'd have a much better country. Now, the reason this is a dumb move, though, is not just because I'm a Massie fan account, or maybe you're a Massie fan account. I don't know.
No, his take was just reasonable to me. That's it. That's it.
The reason this is a politically stupid move for Trump is that Massie does, in fact, have a massive fan base in Republican and conservative and libertarian politics. But it's not just that. It's that his position is actually held by many. And Massie, even if you disagree with his stance, Massie was not necessary to pass this bill. In fact, Trump posted this on Truth Social after the House had already passed it. So Massie's opposition at that point is irrelevant to the passage of the continuing resolution. The right political move for Trump in this case is to say, hey, you know what? I completely understand where Thomas Massie is coming from. We actually both share the same goal of reducing government spending. It's just we have a different path of getting there. I get his his principled right now stance, I don't think that that's a practical possibility. So regrettably, we have to do this to get to where it's more feasible. But I get it, and I look forward to working with Thomas in the future because he wants our country to go in the right direction. That's the correct answer. Yeah. Instead, it's like, oh, he's a rhino who's just like Liz Cheney. No. And so Trump really pissed off a lot of people on this unnecessarily. There's no political gain in doing that. It's all political cost. And again, you didn't have to take it on because the continuing resolution passed regardless. This is one of those moves I don't understand at all.
My only take on this is that even when somebody's being reasonable towards their criticism towards Trump, he just takes it too far, right? People often say, well, he has tough skin and he can any criticism towards Trump is just seen as an attack on him. It's like, well, no, Massie's stance just seems reasonable. Now, even listening to it from the first time, I was like, well, that sounds good to me. Why don't we do that?
The argument you have is that it is not practically possible, but that's not the argument that Trump made. If you just came out and said, yes, it's great, but it's a little pie in the sky, so we have to be more realistic. Instead, he's basically Liz Cheney. He's more or less setting up a January 6th commission as we speak or something like that. I don't even know what he's talking. Other than like maybe opposed to Trump on completely different things. That's the only way Thomas Massie is comparable to Liz Cheney, but we're going with that. And I want to pose the idea here, and I want to be careful in doing this because obviously this comes in the context of a lot of good things. Doge, border security, even though that has some dents in it, as I'll get to. There's good movement with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to get to that in a minute. Undoing a lot of the insanity of the Biden administration. All of those things are good. I don't regret voting for Trump in any way. I want nothing to do with a Kamala Harris presidency. It would be a disaster. No. But I think it's fair to ask, is the Trump honeymoon ending a little bit? And I think part of supporting someone is honesty about the shortcomings. So some considerations. Do you know deportations are actually at rates below Biden right now? Would that shock you to hear that?
Yes, I would.
According to,
I was still wondering why all these Latinos are still here.
God, it's like when I'm not hearing the chirping smoke detectors, all I hear is people speaking Spanish. It's just a nightmare.
I know. They got them down the street and got them right over there.
According to newly released ICE data, Trump's ICE over the last month deported 11,000 migrants. So that's Trump's full first month in office. Okay. During that same period last year, 2024, Biden deported 12,000.
Bingo.
1,000 more. Now, there's a caveat on that. A big reason why Biden had more deportations is because way more people were crossing the border. That's true. So a lot of these deportations that Biden had were like on the spot, get the hell out of here. Trump has to go round people up in the country's interior. And that's a bigger challenge. So it's not, I don't want to be overly critical, but the mathematical reality is there. Biden deported more people during February of 24 than Trump deported in February 25. That's just a fact.
And again, it's one of those things where it makes it like, well, Trump passed a policy that's going to see mass deportations, right? So I'm over here looking out my neighborhood and everything. I says, man, I might have an empty neighborhood by the end of the next few months here. And I was like,
rent is going to be cheap. This will be great.
I was like, it might actually be quieter. But I've noticed that the mass deportations aren't really happening like he had promised or something like that.
Mass would be an overstatement so far, though maybe we'll get there. Again, like I say all of this with the recognition that we're 60 days, 50 days into his presidency, whatever it is.
That's fair.
Okay. But some other things, the Epstein files bullshit that we talked about, it is hard to accept that. Yes, that takes time, but you keep making big promises and not delivering on the promises. Now, at least in the short term, massive market consequences for the unpredictability of the tariff policy. And I get
that's
it.
To be expected.
A lot of that is intentional. You're taking some short-term pain is the idea for bigger and better long-term gain is the plan. But you can still pursue those things while being clear about what the expectations are. Now, maybe they're doing that with Canada and the rest of them behind closed doors. Yeah. But for market confidence. It'd be nice if there was just a checklist of here's what we want, A, B, and C. And when we get that, we're going to revise tariff policy or reduce tariffs. You can be firm with Canada while still being clear. You can have clarity and predictability with firmness. Right now, it's a lot of ambiguity and volatility. And that's at least a short-term problem.
And one of the tariffs that I heard about was towards Japan, right?
I'm not aware of that, but maybe
I had a buddy of mine who also had a buddy of his who ordered some kind of sword from Japan, and apparently it's going to cost more because we have tariffs over there.
Maybe it was the steel, or maybe it's existing Japanese tariff. I don't know. Think of the sushi, avocados from Mexico, sushi from Japan. I know it's not made there, but anyway. Okay, so. And then all of that is on top of going after one of the few, if not the only good ones in Congress. Yeah. So, this is not to dump on Trump, but it is to keep things honest. I think there are a lot of things worthy of some criticism lately, and it's important to hold those in power accountable, even the ones you like.
Yeah.
There are still some wins, though. I should, I should actually, I'm going to take a brief break because, I got so much to talk about. We're going to be late for our callers. So let me go into... I'm just gonna message producer Tim. Well, it's
I've actually spoken to callers before.
Be a minute on callers. Lots to talk about. Okay. So if you're trying to call in, just sit tight. We will get to you, but I got plenty to talk about with Joshy, so we'll get through it. And appreciate you guys. Okay. Wins. You hear what's happening with the Department of Education?
No, lay it on me.
They're taking your friend's Japanese samurai sword and cutting it up. There's going to be a mass slashing at the Department of Education. And
nice.
Now, what does the Department of Education even do? Mostly, they just facilitate federal grants and loans that have, of course, inflated the cost of a college education to absurd levels. Sounds like it makes college less accessible, not more. And yeah, that's the idea with the federal government. They make everything worse.
This is just towards college, correct?
I mean, the Department of Education gives grants to schools of all levels.
Yeah.
But they are, when you talk about the money that's flowing through the Department of Education, it is heavily skewed toward colleges and universities. Yeah.
I would like to see a policy where local communities do contributions to schools that perform well, right? Instead of just Department of Education. I think the whole thing should just be disbanded.
Well, yeah. I mean, by and large, public schools are funded through local taxation, local fundraising mechanisms. The Department of Education gives out some money. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea here is dismantle this federal nonsense, return the handling of schools to the states and localities. Let them deal with it, which people act like that's a disaster. It's called the first 200 years of this country's history. And I think we did okay before the department existed. But yesterday it was announced that the Department of Education is laying off more than 1,300 employees. The goal is to reduce staff by half. After these layoffs are completed, they're going to be about there. The agency had 4,100 employees at the start of Trump's administration. But despite these layoffs, department officials say that the key functions of the department, including federal aid to schools, student loan management, and oversight of Pell Grants, will continue. So if you fire half the people and there is no operational interruption, what were they doing there the whole time?
Nothing.
I should have set up jokes. I didn't have any prepared. What were they doing down at the Department of Education? Playing Minecraft.
Probably doing that whole DEI quota.
Yeah, maybe. And credit where credit is due. Black Lives Matter Plaza in D.C. getting demolished. That is going away. They're taking the jackhammers out. Now,
how much did they spend on that again?
I don't know how much they spent to build it, but it's going to cost a lot of money to take it down, too. This, of course, went up after the George Floyd event in 2020. This is 16th Street north of the White House in D.C. It became Black Lives Matter Plaza. Big yellow Black Lives Matter letters written on the road. Now, removal is technically up to the D.C. government, but Mayor Muriel Bowser says she made this decision after pressure from the White House. So this is Trump making the difference there. I thought it would just be paint removal. It's not. They actually have to remove a bunch of cobblestones, and then the road has to be repaved with asphalt. So that is going to take 2 months and cost $610,000. That's the removal, not the installation.
Man.
I think it's money well spent, though. Do you know how much racism the big yellow letters on 16th Street in D.C. actually deleted over the last 5 years?
Oh man, I bet you have deleted tons of racism, right? Just make sure there aren't any blacks and Asians in the same vicinity, or the whole thing gets ruined.
Yeah. Just imagine how many more George Floyds there would have been if not for Black Lives Matter Plaza. But
Tons. Oh my god.
By
I still
far,
can't believe they made a martyr.
Yeah. Well, he's looking down on us with Harambe from somewhere.
No, he's looking up at us while he's burning.
By far, though, the biggest accomplishment of the Trump administration so far, we've been a little critical of Trump tonight. No, this needs to be point one in next year's State of the Union. I got Rosie O'Donnell to leave the country. I got Rosie.
Only more of them did this. Like, all those celebrities said, I'm going to leave the United States. She actually did it.
That's true. She did make good on her word.
Bingo.
So we have to credit her for that.
Yeah.
But yes, Rosie O'Donnell has now self-deported to Ireland, and she made the announcement by video.
Well, hey everybody, it's me, Rosie O'Donnell, and I'm here in Ireland. Moved here on January 15th. I'm in the process of getting my Irish citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents. I'm happy. Clay is happy. I miss my other kids. I miss my friends. I miss many things. And when, it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
Bro, she mad as hell.
I'm happy. When you say that, you're happy. I always declare to everyone.
She mad as hell, and she knows she's mad as hell.
What are you talking about? That's the happiest face I've ever seen.
But I have a quick question though, right? When it comes to people like this, how come they don't move to like non-European countries? What's wrong with Chile or Brazil, or what about Laos or Cambodia? Why not go to Indonesia?
She did consider the Congo, but she heard all the smoke detector chirps, and she couldn't stand it. So
they always go to European, specifically Western European nations.
And Ireland is very white still. I know there's been a lot of migrants into a lot of Europe. Ireland is extremely white.
It's still very Irish.
I guess you would say I have a path in because of my grandparents, I assume. But
yeah, but you're American. Just because you have the last name O'Donnell don't mean shit. That's like me going to Africa and saying I'm one of y'all.
They wouldn't take you in?
No. Oh. So here's a quick story, real quick. I worked with Africans in a community garden, right? They do not consider blacks and Africans the same. And actually, they'll get mad at you if you consider them like, oh, we're black. You're black just like us. It's like, we're not black. We're Africans. That's your people. This is our people. Y'all stay over here when we go back over there, right?
Was this as hostile as your track meets with the shootings, or was it more civil?
Well, ironically, it's more civil, right?
Oh, okay. Well, so good. Maybe they have a point then. Maybe that's why they say you're not one of us. We've seen how you handle your track meets, and we want nothing to do with it.
But it's also like they don't hack us to death with machetes or anything like that. But the thing is that it's a cultural difference. So as an American, I'm an American black. The only African I got in me is descendants, right? But these guys are actually from the continent of Africa, so they don't consider us the same. So if you say that, if you call me an African American in front of an African, they'll actually get mad. And it says, that guy's not African. He is black. I'm African. So it's kind of like the same thing, like Rosie O'Donnell saying, well, I'm Irish. Just says, no, you're American. I mean, you may have an Irish last name, but you're American. You're not Irish.
It's like, if my family comes from Denmark and Germany, it'd be cool to go there, but would I fit in culturally? I mean, there would be an adjustment for sure.
Yeah, it takes time for that kind of thing. So if I want to be considered, like, for example, Kenyan, I have to live in Kenya for a while, learn their culture and their language or whatever, right?
You got to learn to run long distances and climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Then you'll fit right in.
Yeah. Wear less clothes each day or something like that. Live in a hut.
Now, when she says, maybe I'll come back when there are equal rights available to all. Now, I would love an explanation for what equal rights are not available to some people. She didn't explain. But, whatever premise keeps Rosie out of the country, I'm just fine with. Now,
I'm totally fine. She looks so happy right now.
It got a little bit funnier because, incidentally, the Irish Prime Minister, Michael Martin is his name, he was at the White House today. And so a reporter asked him, hey, Ireland seems like such a nice, happy country. Why would you let Rosie O'Donnell in? And the Prime Minister apparently knew nothing about that.
Ireland is known for very happy, fun-loving people, great attitude, many in this room right now that I've met. Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happppiness level.
That's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Me too.
You know you have Rosie
expecting?
O'Donnell?
Are you expecting?
Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
You better off not. You better off not knowing.
President Trump.
Classic. The feud lives on, man. It's been going on for over a decade now. But
not enough pints in the room to get that drunk.
Give me every Guinness you have. Indeed. All right. Quick on Russia, Ukraine. This is big news, but there's actually not that much to say about it. Potentially could become big news shortly, though. After hours of negotiation with Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia, the State Department has announced there is now a 30-day ceasefire agreement on the table for Russia. Now, as part of the agreement, U.S. aid and intelligence is once again being shared with Ukraine after Trump had paused that after the contentious White House meeting with Zelensky. Now, Russia says they're reviewing the terms. They say they want to, they either want to or potentially will hear from Washington directly about a potential call between Trump and Putin this week. There aren't really terms to this agreement. It's just, hey, how about a 30-day ceasefire to then negotiate an end to the war is the idea. Will you agree to just stop shooting and then we'll talk? Mm-hmm. There are high-level Russians already speaking out in opposition to this, though. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson, Maria Zakharova, whatever, whatever. You give me that one.
Yeah.
She said Russia's position will not be determined abroad due to some agreements or efforts of some parties. So you guys aren't going to tell us what to do, basically. Alexander Dugin, a Putin advisor, said the ceasefire agreement will not work. He said it in an X post. Putin will not accept a ceasefire, as Russia many times clearly said before, without discussing the conditions of solid peace. But that's really what the ceasefire is for. Hey, could we stop shooting so that we could discuss the conditions of solid peace? So
I think the reason for their caution is because at the time that Zelensky agreed to a ceasefire, he was still sending drones over there in Moscow and exploding them.
Yeah,
so maybe that's why they're doubting them.
I'm sure there's a lot of extra activity on both sides. It's like a ceasefire, but if somebody flies a drone or two, I mean, who's really watching? So it does sound like there's still a long way to go for the war to end. But this is much better than the status quo of let's just shovel infinite money and weapons to Ukraine with no clear goal. How about that?
Yeah, he did the same thing between North and South Korea in his first term. So he at least got them to talk.
I can't remember how all that went down, but yeah, I mean, this is positive. And it's nice to see movement in this direction, even if there's a long way to go. You'll take it over just having our country fleeced to infinity and beyond with no clear terms. So that is a point of encouragement. Now it's Mahmoud Khalil time.
You suck. I hope Trump deports you.
That is pretty much what everyone is saying about Mahmoud Khalil, and there are pieces moving to that effect. Now, before I get started with this, I want to make it completely clear. I am in no way crying that a Syrian guy, I guess, is getting sent back to Syria. He probably doesn't much like this country. I would imagine that's probably true. I'm just guessing, though. I'm also not saying that free speech is dead in this country if this Syrian guy can't protest on American college campuses or something like that. So this is not a sky is falling case. In no way do I want to give that impression. But I am also not convinced that the government has met its burden here under the law. Now, we can talk about a few different things, like what should the law be? And I guess the law should be,
you suck. I hope Trump deports you.
But then there's also what the law is. And on that point, I'm not convinced of the government's case so far, but maybe more information will come out. So who is Mahmoud Khalil? Mahmoud Khalil is this 30-year-old, he was born in Syria. He's Palestinian, born in Syria. His parents were Palestinian refugees. He was born in Syria. He graduated from Columbia University in New York in December. He was part of these anti-Israel campus protests last year, some of which were obstructive. And by that I mean like they blocked people. They're accused of occupying a building. They're accused of blocking people from moving freely around campus. They're accused of harassing people on campus, all that sort of stuff. Now, Mahmoud Khalil held a green card, or still does, as in he's a lawful permanent resident. There was some dispute about whether he had a green card or a student visa. I now see it reported that he had a green card. And a lawful permanent resident, a green card holder, has more legal protections than a student visa holder does. But okay, what happened to Mahmoud Khalil? He was arrested by ICE agents in his university-owned apartment on Saturday, and he's now being held at a detention facility in Louisiana. It was determined through some court proceedings that he's going to remain detained there. He was staged for removal from the country earlier, but on Monday, a Manhattan federal judge stopped the deportation after Khalil's lawyers filed a petition. The legal case is now ongoing. So what is he accused of? This is where it gets a little less clear, and this is why I'm talking about a little bit of hesitation.
All right.
So the Department of Homeland Security says Khalil, quote, led activities aligned with Hamas. All sorts of activities. What's that? Is that in Brothers? Like, look at all the room for activities? Or what's the movie quote? I can't remember. Lots of Hamas-affiliated activities that Mahmoud did. Okay? Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Khalil organized a group of protests that not only disrupted college campuses and harassed Jewish students and made them feel unsafe, but he also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, including flyers with the logo of Hamas. Now, as far as I've seen, we have not been provided with an image of these flyers. In no way am I saying that's false. He didn't do that. Yeah. I'm just saying, can I see the flyer? And I have not seen the flyer yet, at least as provided by the government. I've seen things circulating Twitter, just like pictures of flyers that people say he did or people associated with him did. But I don't know.
Just not a whole lot of evidence then, huh?
Well, I haven't seen the specific pieces of the claims. Not to say that they're false, just that the substantiation seems to be lacking. Okay. So that's the flyer claim, but there's also the claim that he was a mediator between these campus protesters and the universities. That's not really a claim. He says he did that. So these protesters, they have their encampment, and they're making demands to the college administration, like, you're going to do this and that. You're going to divest from Israel. You're going to submit. We'll take down our encampment when you do X, Y, and Z. And the most compelling argument that I've seen about at least criminal behavior is that the protests themselves were illegal. They were illegal occupations. They were vandalism. And by making demands of the university administration in order to remove those campus encampments, that is actually extortion, because it was an illegal occupation. And so if you're saying, do this for me or I'll keep doing it, that's extortion. That's the criminal activity. Now, I still don't see a lot of specific evidence about Khalil's particular role in that. Like, again, I'm not saying he didn't do it. He does say he was a mediator. It's just, what did he say? What is the substantiation of the extortion claim? Just need to see that. And you'll notice that a lot of these accusations, the extortion one is an accusation of a crime, but the other ones aren't. Like, oh, he distributed flyers, or he supports Hamas, or these sorts of things. Two things about that, though. Number one, these things could be criminal. It's just the political preference in New York was maybe they don't prosecute him because they like the political perspective. So that could be the case. Number two, even if he didn't commit crimes necessarily, a crime is actually not necessary to deport him under federal law. So what does federal law say? Hold on, I was going to highlight this and I forgot. Let me see if I can find the relevant language. So even though he's a green card holder and he does have lawful permanent residence, he's still considered an alien under federal law. He's not a U.S. citizen. And so if you're a green card holder, there are still some additional rules that apply to you, and that theoretically could still get you sent back to where you came from. Now, according to this federal law, an alien who is engaged in or incited. Okay, so you see, well, he didn't engage in prostitution. Where is it? Let me find it. God, sorry, I forgot to. Okay, terrorist activities. Here's the relevant language. So did he engage in terrorist activity? Well, no, he's not accused of that. But the law doesn't just talk about activity. It says if he, let Let me find it. Espouses. Okay, yeah. If he endorses or espouses terrorist activity. So that's really what they're trying to get at. Like, did he distribute Hamas flyers that say, like, wasn't it cool when they did all that Hamas stuff on October 7th? That's the endorsement or the espousing of terrorism. And again, totally possible he did that. It's just, I need to see where that happened. If that's the case, show it. Or maybe he sent money to Hamas or something like that. Also, just show it.
You would think that if they had him on that, they would just go ahead and show it.
It might be because there's an ongoing court case. They have to. So this is before an immigration judge, and they have to show cause for the deportation, and maybe they can't reveal that information while that's ongoing. I don't know, but it's not really public from the government at this moment. Mm-hmm. And of course, the law here, this applies to aliens, not U.S. citizens, the law that we're looking at about encouraging or endorsing or espousing terrorism. But the thing that makes me a little nervous here is just like, this is a stone's throw away from some potentially bad things. Now, again, I don't want to overstate. We're talking about law that applies to aliens, not to U.S. citizens. That's a big distinction. But at least the information we've seen with Mahmoud Khalil so far, it's a lot of matter of opinion and less action. I'm granting the point that there was physical activity on those college campuses that has to be considered. Yeah. But there's a lot of opinion going on here. Like, I agree with X or I support Y. Yeah. And maybe in the context of a foreign guy, a green card holder, that matters less. But when I say that's a stone's throw away from similar logic being applied to us, just consider the following scenario. Democrats get back in power. Donald Trump is a terrorist for January 6th. And anyone who supports him is a terror supporter who will now be penalized. And you think you have constitutional protection from that on the basis of the First Amendment. That's cute. They've now stacked the courts, and the courts have reinterpreted that constitutional language, okay? Yeah. I know that that's like a doomsday scenario. I'm just saying the pieces of that logic potentially are here, absent the specific evidence. And again, that's not to deny that the specific evidence exists. It's just to say I haven't seen it yet.
That's specifically how it starts, though, right? Yeah, it may seem like doomsday, but it starts off small like that. Just in an opinion. Excuse me. Just in an opinion. So I haven't really seen much action from the guy. I was wondering who he was, so I kind of looked it up real quick before the show started. But nothing that I've seen him actually do is just like, oh, I don't like this, or I support this, or whatever, right? So from what you would explain, I get the caution, right? And you don't want to blow it out of proportion, but it is good to be. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't really like how this whole thing is unfolded. It's not as clear cut.
There's also the most consistent position, which I didn't consider, which is why don't they all go back?
Go back to where you came from, okay?
Mahmoud and all his friends. That's not what the current law says either. So I'm operating within the framework of the current law here. We could have a separate debate about, like, is that law even wise? Should that be the law? I think that's also very interesting. Just if I'm designing the law in this country, if you come here on a guest basis, and that's what a green card holder is, it's someone who doesn't necessarily have a right to be here. We've granted them the privilege of being here. It's like a guest in your home. And if a guest comes into my home and says a bunch of bullshit that I don't want to hear, get the fuck out of my house. That's kind of how I view.
That'd be pretty simple.
That's how I view the way that the country's immigration system should run. So like if you were designing it from scratch and you've decided that you don't want a bunch of like Hamas promotion, if that's what he did, on college campuses, you say that's a basis for deportation for a green card holder. I don't dispute that as a wisely designed law. It's just, as the law exists right now, green card holders have the same free speech rights that citizens have, except for this kind of terrorist carve out. And the terrorist carve out is a little ambiguous. I'm not sure they've substantiated it, but maybe they will in court.
Yeah, I don't like how. See, I'm kind of like you. If you got a green card, you're basically a guest here. You shouldn't be afforded the same rights as a citizen, right? Because if you're a green card holder, you're not a citizen. You don't get the same thing we do. If we don't like what you're saying, we can just kick you out, no problem. That's how it should be.
It's a guest in a house scenario.
Makes sense. That's my fourth grade level understanding of the whole thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought that's how it actually worked, right? So you have a green card, whether you're working here, or you're going to school here, or if you do something stupid or we don't like, we have every right to deport you because it's our house and not yours.
Yeah,
right?
not really. I mean, if they go out and protest U.S. policy and say, like, I think, X, Y, and Z about U.S. policy, they're out on the street with a sign. In general, they have a right to do that, unless they're saying Al-Qaeda is awesome. And maybe Mahmoud Khalil did that. You show me evidence of him saying, what was great? You know what I love? Like paragliding from the sky into music events and taking people hostage. You show me that he said that. All right, I get it. And maybe he did. It's just, we'll see how this develops. We'll have to wait for more information.
Well, like other nations do this. I mean, are you familiar with Johnny Somali by any chance?
No.
Okay, so he's one of those nuisance streamers, right? He's recently in hot water in South Korea, but he was in Japan at first, right? They kicked him out, even though he was breaking laws and everything, but they deported him mostly because it's also being a nuisance. So he wasn't a citizen there. I don't know what kind of card he had, but other nations do enforce this. If you're not a citizen there, and if you do something they generally don't like, they can just kick you out.
Yeah, you're just being annoying. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You've overstayed your welcome. Go away. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should just have a vote, Speaking of comparisons to your house. Like if most of my house votes for you to get the hell out of here, then you have to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Last piece of information on Mahmoud Khalil that's kind of interesting. It's also reported today that he had a British security clearance because he worked as a program manager at the Syrian office in the British embassy in Beirut from 2018 to 2022. And so that fact could also be a factor in his deportation proceedings. Is it possible that he was spying for someone? Is it possible that he was working for someone? That it could be totally, that could be direct to the reason for deportation, or it could be totally uninvolved and incidental. But, more information from these court proceedings should be illuminating in this case. All right. One last thing I wanted to get to you, and this is going to take a little bit of time. So thanks again to our patient callers and super chatters. I will get to you guys momentarily, but I really want to
forgotten about you guys.
I want to talk about this event with you because I think in the history of your calls, we've had a lot of talks about themes of God, themes of religion, where morality comes from, and how government ought to be structured in recognition of those truths, I think is a fair way to characterize it. So pursuant to that, Jubilee Media has this YouTube show called Surrounded, and the premise of Surrounded is that someone of a particular viewpoint sits in a chair at a desk, as you can see, and they're surrounded by people who disagree with him or her. And one at a time, these people come up and debate them or challenge them or talk about their perspective. And they've had Ben Shapiro take on progressives. They've had Lila Rose, who is a pro-life activist, take on a bunch of pro-choice people. This week, it was progressive Sam Seder of Majority Report taking on 20 Trump supporters. And I don't bring this clip and this point up to rip on Sam Seder, even though I disagree with pretty much everything he's saying here and pretty much everything I've ever heard him say. But I actually do have a lot of respect for someone who's willing to put themselves on the spot in hostile territory in a widely, hugely viewed environment like that. It's not easy.
And it's not easy.
And so
Destiny did it against Trump supporters, I believe.
Oh, did he? I didn't see that one. But
I like I said, I saw the thumbnail, but given his debate tactics, it was impressive.
Well, several exchanges in this episode went viral. There was one about nationalism and race and who founded America. People were talking about that. There was one about DEI and government funding. But the exchange I want to talk about is this one about religion and moral foundations. And there's this guy called Easy Debates. He's got a YouTube channel. And he sits down and he starts with one of the premises that are up for debate, and that is religious fundamentalism is bad. And he really goes after the idea of, well, can you or can you not have a moral core without God or without religion? If so, if it's not God or religion, what is that moral core? What is the moral foundation that defines right and wrong? Is it consent? Is it democratic vote? This is a long exchange, but I think it's very insightful, and I want to play it through and then talk to you about it after.
Okay, so what's wrong with religious fundamentalists? So like when you said trans rights and women's rights or something like that?
Well, the problem I have with religious fundamentalists, and really more, I guess it's really theocrats, is that they want to impose their morality that comes from their religion on the rest of us. And I don't.
But morality, from your view, is going to be a preference, right? It's not morality; it's a preference.
What's
So morality without a foundation is going to reduce you to a preference.
Well, I have a foundation for my morality.
Which is what?
It's a humanist vision of what basically creates as little suffering as possible for as many people.
It's always going to reduce you to a preference. So if you say that killing is wrong and I say it's right, you would really have no contention with that.
Well, no, I don't base my understanding of civil society on religion. And so we have a civil society. Okay. We have laws that we have decided as a society in a democratic way. And for some people, it's okay for it to be informed by their religion. That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So if tomorrow society comes together and we say, hey, trans folks don't deserve rights, you would be okay with that?
No, I would be against it, but I mean it would be.
They would be morally right under your view.
Not morally right. No. I'm not talking about morals.
Okay,
here.
so here's where I'm getting to, right? Religious foundations provide an ethical framework for one to live their life off.
I believe you can have an ethical framework without religion.
And if religion provides this foundation where you do prioritize the nuclear family.
So do you have a problem with gay people being married?
It's not that I have a problem. I just don't see a justification for why they ought to be gay outside of it just feels good. Can you give me another justification for it?
Well, I think maybe that's the way they were born.
Okay, what about pedophiles? Are they born that way?
They may be, yeah.
Okay, so should we let a pedophile off the hook since they were born that way?
No, I think we as a society has decided.
Should implement duties to prevent them from acting on that innate urge, correct?
Well, I think between consenting adults, it's a different thing than.
Okay, so you're okay with a 45-year-old dad with a 19-year-old daughter as well? Incest?
No.
If they consent, you're okay with that?
No, I think society has also determined that it's not beneficial.
Right, there's duties and obligations that we have. So religion provides those duties. Life isn't about freedom and exercising what you want.
I mean, well, you want to impose your religious doctrine on me, and I don't want that.
You just admitted we need duties. We have a responsibility as a society to keep us functioning, to keep us thriving. Your leftist view, the liberal view, doesn't provide anything besides it just makes me feel good. Religion does. So what's your argument?
Well, a lot of good stuff in there.
Your thoughts? What do you think?
I've heard this argument before, actually. So when he said, what's his name again? Sam?
Yes. Yeah, the guy in the hot
when
seat.
he said that when he's a humanist, from what I understand, because I even heard a guy named Andrew Wilson debate another humanist on this, right? And their whole point is to reduce suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the points that was brought up, it says if society came together and say, hey, let's, for example, the birth rate is low, we're all gonna die out if we don't get the birth rates back up. So if we all collectively agree that it reduces harm to force women and lock them up and have babies, that would reduce harm.
Yeah.
Would you have a problem with that? Right? Because without God in the picture, right? So take away, we have objective morality. If you take God out of the picture, it does boil down to just preference, right? Oh, I prefer that gays can get married. I prefer that if you identify as a trans woman, you can do that. It all boils down to preference. And the problem with that viewpoint is that if it boils down to just your preference, you really have no argument against somebody else's preference. So let's take us Christians, for example. I prefer that the nation follow God's will, right? That's just my preference. You can't refute that because in your eyes, there is no objective morality. So it's all just a preference. If the vast majority of our nation was Christian and we said this is our preference, you really have an argument against it. So,
yeah, I have a bunch of thoughts about that exchange. If we believe right and wrong are objective things, like you're saying, and maybe Sam doesn't grant that point. Maybe he thinks it's totally subjective. It's just you say potato, I say potato. But if we believe that there is some objective right and wrong, if not God, where does it come from? And clearly it's not consent, even though he does bring up that point. But to the counter, two consenting adults can consent to do something wrong and we still say it's wrong. See the incest example. That's two consenting adults. Why is it wrong? Because of some external objective criteria. Okay, so it's not consent. Clearly it's not democratic vote, the point that he brought up. The majority can do something wrong to an individual like kill them. To your point about reducing suffering, well, there certainly could be a scenario in which 100 people stand to suffer unless they murder two. It's not necessarily, it's not right to murder the two people just to reduce the suffering of more. Okay. So where does that come from? If it's not democratic vote and it's not consent, and as you mentioned, Sam's answer is, well, I'm humanist. My framework is whatever does the most good for the most people. Again, that's a point that I would dispute for the reasons just mentioned. The counter they bring up for secular people is, okay, you mentioned preferences. Well, the problem of preferences still applies to religion and God, because you're going to run into the question of which God, what religion. It's still a matter of preference, which you pick. But the point is this: does morality, right and wrong, does it come from some objective framework outside of yourself, above yourself, to which you are bound, you don't define? Or is morality just made up? Potato, potato, different strokes. Yeah. Whatever feels good as long as it doesn't hurt others. If we accept the first point, that's the God concept. It is not a counter when they say like, oh, it's preferences. You're still like, you say you prefer this God. Well, just because you can counter and say that we don't know every specific detail about God doesn't mean that that's wrong. We didn't know all of the exact physical properties of gravity a long time ago either, but gravity still exerted the same force on us and still created the same rules in the universe, even though we didn't fully understand it. The same idea applies to God.
Yeah.
And the point is that the point really is the search for that truth. It's not knowing everything about that truth right now. Do you accept the premise that moral framework exists outside of you, or do you not? And if you don't, if it's that second point, like whatever feels good is fine, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else, there's still the question of why is it bad to hurt somebody else? What gives someone else's life value? And the godly perspective is, well, they're made in God's image. They have inherent purpose and inherent value because of that. That's still the God concept. You need some explanation as to why the human lives that you want to reduce suffering for have inherent value. Without God, or some sort of inherent purpose, it's very hard to make that argument. And if it's just like, well, I just want people to be treated nicely, I just want people to get along. Why? It's not God. That's the way I feel. Even if I grant that, why? Why do you feel that way? Why do you have that conscience inside of you that tells you that that's right innately? Where did that come from? I guess we all randomly have that. It was just by chance. We all had that conscience in us.
And then you run into the problem of, like, what reduces the most harm. Another argument that I've heard is, okay, take Nazi Germany, for example, right? We're going to go there. They was looking at, okay, what will reduce harm for us? And it's like, oh, it's just killing all the Jews, right? Because they're causing us harm in whatever way possible.
Depends on who you ask, but yes.
Yeah, depends on who you ask. But
yeah.
But you'll be the same it'll be saying the same subjective moral framework, right? You're saying this is what reduces harm for us, therefore it is good, and you can't really say anything against it because you have no argument, right? Yeah. I also find it kind of funny that it's like, well, I don't want religious doctrines being imposed. I mean, the left is trying to impose their craft against us, right?
Nobody imposes harder, I would say.
Yeah, nobody opposes harder than the left wing. So if a trans dude, let's say there's some dude with a full-grown beard wants to identify as a woman, right? In certain states, if you don't address him as a sir or ma'am, like that dude who at that GameStop who flipped his wig, right?
Macho Man was his name.
Yeah, Macho Man. There are actually some policies that will punish you for not addressing that person as such. That's imposing their will onto you. And yet they don't want my views as a Christian to be imposed on them, even though that's not what we're doing. And it's just like that video you had earlier today about Miss Childs, that counselor, right? Simply the mere speech would get her in trouble because it's going against the doctrine. So like, well, you might be imposing in this, or I know it's kind of different, but for him to say that I don't want your religious doctrines to be imposed on me, and it's like, well, that's what your side is doing, right?
Yeah.
It's not like my church is knocking down your door and slapping you upside the head with the Bible and saying, you read this or you're going to hell, right? We're not doing that. You guys are doing that. Sometimes even to the action of the FBI showing up your door saying, well, you made a harmful tweet. You called this guy a massive dick, and that's not nice.
Before I forget, we take some calls. That high schooler with the baton actually is getting charged, thanks to Tim for the tip.
Oh, thank God.
This news just came out like within the last couple hours. Misdemeanor assault and battery charge. So, all right, at least some justice.
Like I said before, those things are made out of metal. That shit hurts.
Yeah. Well,
right.
let's get into our callers. We'll take 3 quick calls, and then we'll catch up with our super chatters. Thank you to the super chatters. Didn't forget about you and appreciate your patience. But let's get Egrin in here and see what he has to say. And I have to unmute myself. All right. Egrin, are you there?
Ooh, I hear you twice. Hang on.
Yeah.
I thought I muted you.
I didn't even forget to unmute myself this time. Are you proud of me?
I'm proud of you.
All right. Well, what do you got for us? I'm going to start your timer.
The only reason that Thomas Massie is feuding with Donald Trump is because Thomas Massie doesn't have an AIPAC guy. And that is the only argument. It's not about rhinos or anything. That is the only reason that they're fighting at this point. And
I heard him make that claim on Tucker's show that there's a handler for everybody.
There is. And it's happened with Brian Herrera. Brian Herrera was fighting an incumbent, and AIPAC gave $9 million to incumbent to fight Brian Herrera, who would have been
when he ran for Congress. Was that last term? Was that last election or the one before? I can't remember.
That was last year. And second,
why did they oppose him? The memes were too spicy, or what?
They couldn't control Brian Herrera. It's simple as that. It's all you.
Real quickly, can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You are doing
okay.
Fine.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Second of all, Justy Boy.
Yeah.
Do you remember that what was burned back in Nazi Germany was degenerate books by Magnus Hirschfeld, a very sodomite, tiny hat person, first and foremost. And just like Sam Seder, he's pushing the exact same thing, pushing the same degeneracy, the same tiny hat, the same problem. And they don't, he acts like he doesn't believe, he doesn't even read the Torah. He does nothing. And second of all, this is probably going to be one of my last calls for a while. I gotta focus on. Yeah, I just gotta focus on other things. I'll still be doing the Bible study on Fridays. It's just
sure, man.
Okay,
I'll see you there. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Catch you next time. All right, you got any thoughts on that? Now that you have grossly mischaracterized Nazi Germany.
Grossly mischaracterized? No, he does have a point. They did burn a
There
did
is
burn a lot of books.
Yeah. There were books burned of a particular theme.
Yeah, particular kind. They were trying to get rid of degeneracy, right? Nobody ever really discussed what books were being burned. It says, oh, look, they just did book burning and everything. They don't want people to learn and educate. And nobody bothered to ask, like, well, what books did they burn? All right. Maybe they have a let me be careful here.
Hey, you get to play your you get to play your card and get away with whatever you want.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have that card anymore. Remember, it got revoked, or I got rid of it, or something like that.
Oh, so did they take it away when they wouldn't let you into Africa? They took that away too.
Yeah.
Oh.
But basically, what it's saying, these guys are indeed, like, you can't even claim this is secular, or secularism is basically a religion in and of itself, right? They are promoting perversity.
Well, and it has the same needs too. Like, just because you say it's not God, you're still going to need the same foundation for the framework. Yeah.
I mean, it's basically just we want to promote a good moral society where everybody looks out for one another, right? And becoming upstep. I'm grossly not mischaracterizing. I'm just kind of summarizing it because I don't have time to get into it. But anything that we stand for, we want to have well put together families. We want to have a functioning society. We want to be able to defend ourselves. They want to destroy all of that, right? And I know we talk about incompetence or stupidity all the time, but sometimes it's just straight up malice.
There's plenty of that to go around. Yeah. This is not, we're not watching just idiocy run rampant. There's plenty of idiocy, but the things are way too organized for it to be just foolishness.
Like that whole address to the Congress. That wasn't stupidity or miscalculation as some people say. That was malice.
Wait, which one? What are you talking about?
The one where they wouldn't clap for that 13-year-old boy or any other victims.
I don't know. I think that might be stupidity. I think that was just.
I don't think that was stupidity. That was just straight up malice. They knew what they were doing.
Maybe. I mean, you have to be really dedicated to your. The thing is, it's not just that you're not a sympathetic person to like the brain cancer boy.
Yeah.
Even if your whole worldview is political motivation, it's such a stupid move because just do the clapping. Even if you don't believe in it, just do the clapping so you don't look heartless. And they couldn't help themselves. Anyway, let's talk to Golden Leaf. Golden Leaf, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing?
We are.
I'm doing all right, man.
What's on your mind?
Well, I want to talk about how it seems that MAGA needs to shut up about boycotting because they're boycotting Tesla and it's mostly peaceful. Just don't look at the fact that there's been shootings, possible car bombings, and people nearly getting assaulted because of having said product. But hey, the same thing. Which I definitely want to debate someone on this who's on the other side. Be like, what's the difference between how you're saying the right or MAGA was boycotting Bud Light? How's that comparable to what they're doing to Tesla right now? I don't remember seeing any news about MAGA people shooting at Bud Light delivery vehicles or bombing a Bud Light factory.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that protest was glorious. I haven't been that happy since the whole GameStop thing.
All the stonks.
Yeah, they couldn't even get rid of that shit for free. That's how bad it was. And you want to know the reason why that happened?
What was that?
They put a woman in charge. That's why.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that lady.
Let's try to be hip with the kids. And that Dylan Mulvaney, he seems popular with everybody. Let's put him on a beer can where I'm gonna be real with you. Most old blacks and a lot of hillbilly whites that are MAGA supporters, they drink that stuff. So that was really dumb on her part to see, like, try to get hit with the kids. Nobody drinks that piss swill. I've had Bud Light. It tastes like shit. Okay.
Coors Light is the only way, man.
The only drinks I've been able to have, it's just me, but I rarely drink. It is Angry Orchard and Smirnoff Ice. That is about it.
What?
Angry Orchard is good.
Okay.
Angry Orchard, I do like.
Are you a gay man?
I have.
Are you a gay man? Are you
I
a
am
gay
not.
man?
It's the only thing I can have that's like pretty decent. I tried regular beer. It, again, tastes like you said, piss beer. It's like, it has no flavor.
I don't understand how people can drink it and enjoy it. Those people are backwards to me. I'm a wine drinker. That's what I do.
Are you a gay man?
I don't even drink. I have a 6-pack of. I have a 6-pack of Angry Orchards I've had for about 3 months. I've gotten to maybe 2 of them. I still have 4 bottles left.
All right. We kind of stepped on your call, but we're out of time. Do you have a final word?
Well, can we have an F in the chat for my buddy? He lost his business a while ago. He actually owned a bread business, and it unfortunately burned down. His business is pretty toast.
Boo! Get out of here.
You suck. I hope Trump deports you.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you for your call.
To answer your question, are you a gay man? I mean, remains to be seen. All right.
I'm glad.
I know I said no, but I also said yes, so we don't know. But I'm serious about the whole beer thing. I can't do IPAs.
Well, nobody can. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that for another half hour. Nobody actually likes IPAs.
Why do they drink it?
Because it's like a status. It's like a trendy thing, and it's a status symbol, and it's awful. Nobody actually likes IPAs, and I get enraged every time I go through the beer aisle at the store because half the aisle is IPAs, and like, all you people who think you're cool because you're drinking these, even though you know they taste like crap. They taste like a skunk peed on a pine tree, and then you licked it. You're the problem because you're creating the market for this.
It's like a wet gym stock dipped in piss toilet water.
All right. Last caller tonight is going to be, let's see, Skulldugger. Skulldugger, go ahead.
Just for the record, I am currently drinking an IPA right now.
Okay. Well, it was a great call. Thank you. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
We ain't gonna do that.
Okay, I assume you didn't want to defend IPA honor, but if you
no, I don't. I don't care. I mean, I drink whatever you like. If you like Budweiser, drink Budweiser. If you like, I mean, everybody has their own tastes. I mean, people used to drink Zima back in the day. So.
You sound like Sam Cedar on morality.
Yeah, I'm gonna correct you real quick. It's not the fact that some people have different tastes. It's that some of us have tastes while others have none. Okay. Right? There you go.
We're stealing all his time. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So one of the things I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, and I understand there's just isn't a lot of information about it right now, but the 3 treason arrests from Kash Patel.
Oh yeah, the Chinese guys, or they gave intel to China.
Yeah, so they're all Army, so they're all from the U.S. Army and have connections directly to China, and one of them, I guess, was like in a scheme to actually deliver intel to China.
Okay.
Okay.
And so I was just seeing if you had
these are
caught up
actually
on any of
treason
this.
prosecutions. That's the charge brought.
Yes, I believe all 3 of them.
Really?
Are,
I'll have to look into
going
that.
I know at least 2 of them already have treason charges, and I think the third one does as well, along with I think seditious conspiracy, actually.
Wow, basically a January 6th there. You must have done something serious.
It's some kind of conspiracy charge as well.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing of this.
I did see a headline. I haven't looked into it, so I'll have to look at it. You don't hear treason charges commonly brought, even though it is the only constitutionally defined crime, but you don't hear about that very often.
And you would think that would be big news as well.
Yeah, especially how often they were throwing treason around for Trump and the January 6ers and stuff.
Yeah.
But
well, any final thought about it before we let you go?
No, it's just that we appear to have some actual treason, and it should be an interesting thing to sort of keep tabs on. I imagine information is going to be extremely protected and sparse.
Yeah, maybe. They'll put it on Pam Bondi's desk next to the Epstein case.
You done beat me to
Keep an eye
it.
out for the binders. Keep an eye out for the treason binders.
Right.
Bro, they're going to have truckloads of that.
Thank you for calling in, man. Appreciate it.
All right,
later, man.
have a good one.
Okay, that'll do it on calls tonight. Appreciate everybody who called in, and we got to catch up with our super chatters. Man, I thought, I was going to aim for like an hour to an hour and a half stream. We're already past it, so I guess I had to reduce it a little bit. But that's good news. Always too much to talk about is better than not enough. But you want to stick around for super chat, or do you want to? Okay, I just got not a ton to get through here, so it won't take very long. Long Dong John says, "Would it be distasteful to ask if we can get signed Joshy Boy N-word passes for the merch store?" Now I hadn't thought of that. You want? I don't know if I can do a custom item like that, but maybe we can figure something out.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I was thinking, I hope that website you got on the Sunday stream was legit, because I was thinking about getting a Kaniga jersey and wearing it.
I'm pretty sure it is legit. Do you want the link? It comes with a certificate of authenticity.
Bro, send me the link. I'm gonna buy one.
Just
and the next time I'm on, I'm gonna wear it.
If I forget, just send me just message me or email me. I'll send you the link. It's real.
All right, I got you.
Yeah, if you show up next time with a K-word jersey, that K-word, that'll be hilarious.
Yeah. It will be hilarious.
And you can wear it, and it's fine. Stooge McDuck, every freaking time Ceiling Bird strikes again. Dude, every time I hear it, and I think that's edited in, it's not real. And then there it is, it's real.
No, it's I can't tell you just how real it actually is. You know how besides the bird chirp, right? Have you ever had any other instance where you heard something and it just immediately pissed you off?
Yeah. It's hard for me to think of a specific thing, but the sound of certain people's voices or just certain nails on the chalkboard type sounds, sure. But the chirp is that. Okay, how about this? I don't mean to prod, so if this is too personal, just tell me to stop. Well, you're a gay man. We already established that. Are you a single man?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's assume that the gay man thing is a bit, and you go on a date with a nice young lady, or maybe many dates, because you're a man of godly morality. You would not just go to a woman's home after meeting her that day, at least for any sort of
not in this day and age,
ungodly activities. But let's say, excuse me, let's say that you have been seeing a woman for a long time. And things have progressed nicely, and you think she's the one. And she invites you to her home for the first time. And you go in, and you hear the chirp. What do you do?
I'm sorry, bitch. This ain't gonna work.
You're leaving.
That tells you everything about it.
You're not going to be a man for her and change out the batteries?
You handle that shit yourself until I step in.
Okay.
All right? You don't wait until I show up.
That's honorable.
That ain't gonna work. all these women talk about how they want to be strong and independent and everything. You can't change a battery out of your fire detector. Really?
I think you're right in saying it does indicate a lot. Like you can learn a lot from that one chirp noise.
Because it tells me that you're just neglectful. I said, I don't want my future kids with a mother like that.
What do you let the baby
and I shouldn't
scream?
have to come in and
You just
I shouldn't have to come in and set you straight. All right, that's the thing.
All right, I guess.
So, ladies, if you're out there, if you ever invite me over to your house and I hear that bird chirp,
yeah,
I'm out the door. Just leave it unlocked.
Daniel Jager says, I've been hearing a lot about impoundment and Russ Vogt's role at OMB, Office of Management and Budget, over the budget. I'm confused by it, not sure what it has to do with the CR. So if I understand, they're saying that, hey, yes, Congress is still appropriating money at status quo levels like they were under Biden, but there's language in the continuing resolution that says the impoundment office or the impoundment through Trump, as in not spending money, not spending money that's been appropriated, that power will be affirmed by the law, affirmed by that continuing resolution. Now, there's still some constitutional questions about what sort of authority the president has in that regard that maybe would be challenged in court. But the logic is, yes, we're spending the money, but we're giving Trump power not to spend it. And I still fail to see why the answer wouldn't be, how about you just don't spend it in the first place? Why are we doing this hula hoop dance not to spend the money when you could just not? But
just not spend it at all.
That's what they're going with. So, okay, I think we're set on YouTube and Tippy. Over on Rumble, Spirit of Lexington, the thing that I couldn't understand during the lockdowns is that we knew who was at risk, the really old, the really fat, the immunocompromised. We knew it even back then, except I actually could understand it because it wasn't about public safety. It instead was about conditioning us to obey, no matter how stupid the reason. I agree. And, you know, I like to think that was a pretty easy thing to predict. Of all the like things I'm proud of seeing, COVID is the one. I've been wrong about plenty. I'm not sitting here patting myself on the back for being right about everything. Certainly I'm not. But I am proud that I saw COVID as bullshit since March of 2020. I'm proud of that. That's like one of my career achievements. And it's the chirping smoke detector might be an indicator of some things, but if you want to also test someone's inclinations, just go look at what they were saying. Like, it doesn't have to be March, but like, what were they saying summer of 2020 or even like fall of 2020 when it was really apparent that this was bullshit?
Yeah.
You know, if someone was still on the like insanity train into 2021, you know, you're dealing with a kook.
Yeah. So my thing is that with the whole COVID thing, I mean, I'm proud of myself for calling it what it is too, but that's only because I was like, oh, it's just going to be like Ebola or the bird flu or the swine flu. They're going to make a big deal out of it and it's going to be nothing and we'll just go back to normal the next couple of weeks. No, man, people fell for this shit. And for 2 years, we've dealt with it. And I just like,
that's what should have been the basis for the moral framework at that debate table was COVID insanity is the moral framework. COVID insanity is the religion because people are still devoted. Okay.
I still can't wrap my head around that. And for like, it was like, oh, we need to stay indoors and keep everybody safe. And even then when people could still start going out, people wearing masks inside their damn car by themselves. And I was like, you know what? I hope we get ran off the road. I hope we get pulled over. I hope we get a flat tire.
Yeah,
I hope nobody loves you.
God willing, I will never be dating again in my entire life. But speaking of deal breakers, if I ever, let's say I met a woman online or something and we went out for a date, if she showed up driving alone with a mask on, I'm leaving on the spot, just like you are from that smoke detector chirp house. I'm out. Sorry.
Bullet dodged.
Yeah. Let's see. Dangerous Spaces, our call screener says, I want to encourage new people to call in. You don't need a fancy mic, just one that can be heard. If you're nervous about the process, I'm here to help you know what to expect. Come on in. It's fun. He also says, thank you for your bravery, Rosie O'Donnell. It really shows your opposition to that horrible racist Trump when you move to a country that is at least 85 to 90% white. These fucking people. Thank you, Tim. And yeah, if people want to call in, hop in the server and Tim will help you out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I highly encourage it too. I mean, I like the guys that we have so far, but I also want to hear new voices. I mean, speaking of a guy who hates to listen to his own voice, right? But my thing is that, I mean, I'm gonna throw some shade at least two people, so be ready.
What?
Okay?
All right.
I want to listen to more people like Gilgamesh because he disappeared, right?
It has been a long time since we've heard a Gilgamesh. Yeah, anything. Yeah, Gilgamesh, if you're out there.
Yeah, Gilgamesh, if you're out there, I promise I won't. I promise I'll be nice.
Very
okay?
distinct voice for sure.
Yeah, I promise I won't immediately crucify you for anything you say. But then there's the guy who pissed me off the most. That Richard Parker dude.
I'm not here to litigate call-in show characters of the past.
Yeah, but just people like him who have maybe a differing opinion, so we can kind of go back and forth a bit.
Yeah, we'll make this.
That would be fun.
We'll make this surrounded online or something like that. Anyway,
that would be good. But yeah, we would appreciate new people called. I mean,
Sure.
I know I was nervous at first. I get nervous just by showing my face on the camera for the first time because I've never done it. But it's a lot of fun. Just once you call in enough, you'll get into the groove and you'll be more comfortable.
It's a good time to remind people too that the email inbox is open as well. If you want to email the show, because I know a lot of people just can't call in. They're busy. They got stuff going on. You can't do it live. Yep. You can still interact with the show with the email inbox as well. And that's always fun too. Points for discussion that way. All right. Ninja Kitty Bonks. The return of Joshi. Now, if Matt can just find a way to get Robin D. Banks and Kaniga Honky Bonks. I think it's Knuckle Honky Buck, but we'll go with Kaniga Honky Bonks together. All would be right in the world. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that romance will bloom once again someday. Hottie Twerkman, the best thing about Rosie O'Donnell self-deporting to Ireland is she didn't self-deport to Canada. Well, I guess Canada's closer. I guess I'd prefer Ireland because it's farther away, but if Rosie O'Donnell leaves, I'll count it as a win just the same.
And once again, they never go to non-European nations. It's always those nice, safe ones.
We really could have used the leverage, though. Like, hey, Canada, why don't you surrender in the tariff war, or we're going to send Rosie O'Donnell to you. They would have backed down right away. Oh, sorry. Nobody said anything about that to me. Guess I'll go back to lumberjacking and harvesting maple syrup. Whatever it is you guys do up there.
Hold on, real quick. You know that hockey game that took place maybe like a couple of weeks ago? How they were just fighting each other in the first 9 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was AI that did this, but I was at work and we were just kind of watching that. And the coach that was speaking, I'm pretty sure it was AI. He was like, well, Trump called us and told us feed those Canucks some knuckle sandwiches before he feeds them some tariffs. And he called them moose humpers.
Oh, this was an AI creation. Moose humpers.
I'm pretty sure it was an AI creation. But if that was real, that's fucking legendary.
Moose humpers is a good term. I remember that one.
Yeah.
GR says, hey, my Kanigas, what's good? Came in pretty late. How's the show going? Guess I actually did miss the whole show. Sorry, I'll catch the upload later. I'll try to be better. We'll never apologize for supporting the show. GR says, I still mostly hate reality TV and think it's brain rot, but I'll watch if there's more political considerations on this show. Love is Blind, I mean. Well, you can go back to season 1 and see if you like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is a lot of like just mindless dating trash.
Yeah.
But this last season had a lot of political implications and like male-female dynamics. This was the most politically charged season that exists.
I think they did that by design too, to kind of get those ratings up. I can't do reality TV shows. I mean, I have a brother who, I don't know if he still does, but he watched whatever version of Bad Girls there was. I don't know how many there were, but he liked those kind of reality TV shows. My mom watched Real Wives of Hollywood or Atlanta or something, some stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And all you hear, you want to know is even more annoying than a bird chirp, right? Is when you have on the TV, you watch a reality TV show, and all you hear is just nothing but bleeping every single time.
It's all swearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that can get annoying.
That can get really annoying, but it won't piss me off as fast as the ceiling bird.
They need to bring the ceiling bird into some more reality TV or game show context. Like, why doesn't Mr. Beast have 2 people sit in a room and whoever can withstand the ceiling bird the longest wins a Ferrari or something
now
like that?
That I will watch.
That actually sounds incredibly boring, and I'm sure they'd last a long time. But hey, Mr. Beast, get in touch with me. Those ideas are free. You know, you need some ideas for your next production. GR also says, I don't want to live in a country that is not predominantly white. Save me, white people. Well, I guess you're hereby saved. But he says he's a token S word, so I assume that's what you mean, right? You're an S word who's saved by the evil meddling whites. Anyway.
Me?
No, Mr. Token S word is. You are a token. You're a token N. He's a token S. I'm a token H, I guess. What's the white people slur?
The white people slur. Can I say this, Raj? Honky?
Yeah, that's what I
you
meant
guys would be?
by H. You can definitely say that though. Yeah.
I don't know why they also call y'all mayonnaise. They have cracker and mayonnaise, and it only makes me think that these guys are like hungry for something or whatever. I mean, even their insults are lame. The N word is perhaps, I mean, for most people, it's the ugliest word ever, but it's also the most creative and the funniest.
I don't know. I would nominate.
You're a faggot. Shut up, faggot.
That's a great word too.
Yeah, but to me it doesn't work because it's basically a bundle of sticks, and that's all I think about, right?
Well, what about there are other things like Nigersaurus? I don't know if you caught that on Sunday. There are other closely related.
Yeah, Nigersaurus.
Yeah.
There's the country of Niger.
Over on Odyssey, Blankets is sending me a bunch of JD Vance face memes, which, as I said, I've seen enough JD Vance face memes. I
don't really understand that. I've seen some myself, and I don't really get it.
Blanket says, Matt, do you think they don't hear the beep or think the beep is something else? I guess they must think it's something else.
No,
they hear it.
I guarantee you. They hear it, but it's like when you have a screaming child, you just tune it out and you don't notice it anymore. I live next to a trucking company, and there are points when trucks go by, I just don't notice it.
Yeah.
It's you hear it so much and you just tune it out. I can't do it.
Blanket says, Matt, some saying white people making fun of black people not hearing the beep is racist. Well, how are you supposed to? It's
not racist when it was mostly my people doing the shit.
Yeah, he's not saying it's racist.
Seen a white
it's
person.
just, yeah.
I've never seen a white person do this. They fix their shit. I don't understand why that happens when you mostly show black people. It's always like that, right? It's not racist. It can't be racist if you're showcasing somebody, right? And it's a black person, and you hear the bird chirp. That's on them. That ain't racist. You go to a white person's house or a Latino house or Asian house, you'll never hear that shit.
To the point, the meme keeps resurfacing in current news circumstances, and I can't believe how frequent it actually is. Like you said, I basically have a weekly bit now. I'll have to make an intro for that. Blankets also says, Matt, do you see the viral video of Sarah on Jubilee? Maybe you can create a new show with her titled Matt and Blonde Show 2 Electric Boogaloo. I did see that one. That was the one that's about nationalism and race and the foundation of the country, and that prompted a lot of thought this week too and a lot of discussion. So I don't know her, but clearly provoked a lot of thought this week. So good for her. And all right. I think we're all set. Good on DLive. Okay. I'm going to give a quick refresh on YouTube and Tippy, and then we will call it a night. Anything else you want to say before we're out of here?
Well, I apologize for my cat jumping up on here. That's his favorite spot.
No, that's good. That's good character.
Started patting my head too. So
we need to start some new memes around here. So that's perfectly acceptable. All right. Well, appreciate everybody joining this evening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to the live chatters. Thanks to super chatters for making the live show a success. Thanks to our callers, of course, if you're listening later on demand. Thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thank you to Joshy Boy for sitting in tonight. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance. Anything else show related, mattchristiansenmedia.com is where you find it. Or mattis.gay if you prefer brevity. I'm back on Sunday and Wednesday nights. Of course, have a great night and a great week.
All right, everybody.